Hello, everybody. I'll just give everyone a sec to get connected to their audio and then we're going to get started. My child is crunching on cereal very close to my camera, so I hope you can't hear him. He might just move to a seat a little bit further away from me. Perfect. There we go. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you so much for coming to join us tonight on Zoom. My name is Tracey McGill. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a Thermomix consultant and team leader. I am from Bunyip, which is like southeast Melbourne, heading towards Gippsland. And I've been with Thermomix for 7 years now. It's actually my anniversary this week, which is really exciting and crazy. I had no intention of a Thermomix business. I was planning on, thank you, babe. Oh, not this one. I was planning on earning myself a free Thermomix and leaving. Very quickly, I realized, hey, this is actually a pretty good job. And here I am 7 years later. So we are here tonight. I've got Tracey joining me. She will introduce herself to you guys in a little bit. Thank you very much, Bob. And she will introduce herself to you shortly when she starts cooking. So tonight our aim is to show you a little bit more about the TM7. We have quite a few of you that don't yet have one. Some people that don't have a Thermomix yet, and then quite a few of you that do have a TM7 are here to learn a little bit more. So we will cover some tips and tricks, some of the differences, and of course, we're going to do some cooking. So tonight we're going to be doing a little bit of an Asian feast. We've got bao buns, we've got some sticky chicken and some udon noodles to show you tonight. So we love when you guys interact with us. So please ask as many questions as you like, comments, anything at all. But we do ask if you just stay on mute for us. When you come off mute, it does get a little bit crazy for people to hear. So we love if you could stay on mute. But please use our chat box below. Tracey's going to pop a little hello into our chat box for you so you can all find it. And I would love if you could put in the chat box and let us know whereabouts you're coming from tonight. And do you currently have a Thermomix? If yes, which model do you have? You may be aware that we do have our trade up running at the moment. So until tomorrow night, you can trade up an older model Thermomix and save up to $750 off the cost of the TM7. You can also add a second bowl on for $199, or without trading up, you can purchase the TM7 and add the second bowl on, which is our most exciting deal. But it is a really great time to get one if you've been thinking about it. So that's enough talking for me, and we are going to start cooking. So get those comments coming into that chat box. Get your questions ready, fire them away at us, and we will answer them as we can. So we're going to start cooking, and then we'll do some talking along the way as well. So tonight I'm going to be making some bao buns. So I'm going to start off by making our bao dough. And while I'm doing that, I would love to know, does anybody make bao buns, or are you buying bao buns? Is it something that you like to eat when you're getting takeout? Pop in the comments and let me know. So on our TM7, you have different options for your screen setup. I have mine set to my planned recipes because I'm a real meal planner. You'll notice Tracey and I are totally opposite in that way. But I love to plan my meals and know exactly what we're eating. So I've got my screen set on my meal plan. So I can click the show all button. Don't know what was happening there. And scroll on down until I find my recipe. So there's a couple of different bao bun recipes on there. We were playing around with a few. This one here, the bao buns with this picture here, is quite a new recipe, and it did ask for a specific Asian flour that's really good for bao buns. Tracey and I both live in Bunyip, small town. Finding something like a specialty ingredient like that might be a little bit tricky. So I decided to go for a different one. I'm sure we could have subbed it for baker's flour and it would have worked, but I didn't want to test that out on a class tonight. So going to a tried and trusted recipe that Tracey, that was a lot of T's, trusted Tracey and I have both made, which is the charcoal bao buns. Now, again, living in a small town, finding charcoal is a little bit tricky. So I'm just going to leave out our charcoal. We can absolutely just leave that out tonight. So we've got just need to end the recipe from when I started it before. We've got our recipe. You've got your prep time, total time, and your portions. Scroll down the screen, you've got your ingredients. It's letting you know which model Thermomix you can make this in. So this is a 6 and 7 recipe. It's easy. We've got our steps here. Tips, so it does say here activated charcoal can be purchased from health food stores, specialty food stores, or online. And then you've got my notes. Something that I love about the TM7 is that you can actually add notes on the screen. If you've ever seen me cook before, you know that I make a lot of changes to my dishes. So I love that I can pop a note there to remind myself of something that I did. So if I added extra water to a recipe, if I found it a little bit too sticky, added extra flour, whatever it may be, I can add my notes in there. And then my recipe will let me know when I go into it that I've got a note, and I can click on it to read what I've reminded myself. So we're going to hit that start cooking button. Now on our TM7, obviously we've got this really big, beautiful screen, which is great, especially when we're cooking upside down like we do in our cooking classes. So our first step is grease a large bowl and set aside. So I'm actually going to use a Thermomix mat, so I'm not going to grease a bowl. If you have one of these Thermomix mats, your dough mat, you can use that. If not, grease a bowl lightly. So our little digital twin over here on our TM7 is asking us to take our lid off. So we take our lid off, it's registered that the lid is off and it's showing me the inside of the bowl. So we're going in with 2 teaspoons of yeast. Two teaspoons of yeast. So this is the one that I use. Now, you might have heard me say this before. You buy this in the pantry aisle, so it's a little bit confusing, but it does need to be stored in the fridge. If you've got one of these in your pantry, throw it in the bin, buy yourself a new one. You will not get a proper rise if it's kept in the pantry. So chuck it out and treat yourself to a new one. I'm going 2 tablespoons of sugar. Now, it does want white. I'm just using raw because I tend to use raw with everything. 300 grams of baker's flour. Now, baker's flour is just in your flour aisle. When you have a Thermomix, you'll probably use quite a lot of baker's flour when you get into making your breads and your doughs. So I recommend buying like the big Wallabies 5 kilo one. It's a bit more cost effective. You can get it in Coles and Woolies. Or if you're a Costco shopper, you can get a 20 kilo bag, which is what I do. Our activated charcoal, which I'm literally just telling it that I've done it, tick it off, even though I haven't. It's guided cooking, not set in stone, so it's not going to beep at me or anything like that. And then I need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So with our yeast and our baking powder, these are going to be nice and fluffy. 170 grams of warm water. So we're just using our scales. We want to go nice and slowly when we're adding our liquid in. It'll be a little bit tricky to pull it out when we go over. So our TM7 does weigh in 1 gram increments, and then it also marks it off. You can hear that little tick, marks it off, marks it off, resets your scales, ready to go on your next step. 1 teaspoon of salt, and I'm a guesstimator, I'm like, that's about it. And then 2 tablespoons of olive oil. If you've ever seen me cook before, you know I like to wing it. I'm not very good at measuring things. And it's asking us, digital twin wants us to put our lid on again. And we've just got 5 seconds on speed 6. We're just combining our ingredients there. And then I'm going to look like in just 5 seconds, like look at that. And then lid back on as our digital twin is telling us. And then we've got 2 minutes on our wheat picture, which is our dough mode, and we're just going to hit the play button. So if you do have an older model Thermomix, you might have noticed that there isn't a dial on our TM7. So it does feel really, really bizarre when you first get it, not having that dial, especially if you've used a Thermomix for quite a long time. I did own a TM31, a TM5, a TM6 before having a TM7. Oh my God, I love you. Love you. Sorry. So long-time Thermomix user here. I think I've had a Thermomix for maybe like 13, 14 years now. Long-term Thermomix user, so I was really nervous about how I was going to cope without having that tactical dial, but it's actually brilliant. It's a lot more like what you're used to with your iPhone, your iPad, things like that, just kind of flicking with your finger as we're setting things manually. So when we look at the TM7, we absolutely still have manual mode. So the TM7 is all about cookie dough, all of those amazing guided recipes, but we definitely still have manual mode, which I can't access because it's kneading. So when we click our manual mode, that brings up our time, temperature, and speed, and you can still do anything manually like you've done in the past in older model Thermomixes. So it might feel a little bit different at first, but it's absolutely still an option for you. And as I said, we just scroll our finger up the screen to set our time, temperature, and speed. You've got some presets there ready for you as well. And you get used to it very, very quickly. When I touch an older model Thermomix now, I find it really weird using the dial. It was amazing how fast I changed in my mindset. Clicking on that one, and that's just taking us back. So when we're kneading in our Thermomix, 2 minutes of kneading is the equivalent of 20 minutes of kneading by hand. So I would love for those of you that already have a thermo, pop in the chat and let us know what is your favorite thing to do with our kneading mode. What is your favorite dough to be making? Are you making pastries? What is it? You can make, the possibilities are just endless when you have the knead mode and the Thermomix, the dough mode. Some of our favorites in our house are things like our bao bun, our Vietnamese baguettes for, I'm going to say bao buns again, and it's not. What's the other one that we like to eat? It's late and I've had a busy day and I'm losing all my words. We love making scrolls and pizzas and pastries and all of those beautiful things. But there we have our 2 minutes of kneading. Now our bao dough is a little bit stickier. That is really normal. And I'm going to pop that one to the side. We're going to tip our bowl upside down. We're going to twist our blades back and forward, or we're going to use the bottom of our TM7 spatula. Spatula has had a redesign. It is longer, better for scraping out the bowl. And then you have this little bit at the bottom, which you can use to twist your blades back and forwards. If you've got an older model Thermomix, use your fingers, but this just makes it a little bit easier. And that helps our dough to release, especially when you're dealing with a slightly stickier dough like this one. And then we're going to use that beautiful redesigned spatula around and get that extra dough out because we don't want to waste any of that. And then what we're going to do is we've still got quite a bit of dough stuck to our blades. Now, when you've got dough, you've got mixture, you've got sauce, anything at all on your blades, we don't want to waste that. And you may also notice me dragging the Thermomix around the bench. Now, if you've got an older model, you know that we don't recommend that because of the scales, but our TM7 has a built-in glider foot, so you can absolutely slide it around the bench like that, which makes life really easy. So I'm going to head out of my recipe into my home and click my blades button, and I'm going to go into my turbo mode. Now, all model Thermomixes have a turbo mode. It is our fast, hard chopping. I just hit that play button, or you're going to turn that dial just on 1 second. And we've just flicked a lot of that dough off the blade, so we're not wasting it. That's like a whole bao bun in there we would have lost. That's a great little trick. Again, cake mixes, sauces, anything at all. Just use your spatula and go around to grab the rest of that out. All right. Now I've got myself a Thermomix mat. You can get these from the mix shop if you don't already have one. It is my most used accessory. I have 3 in my kitchen. I actually use them all the time. And I'm just going to fold it over like so and pop that to the side. Now, we're just going to head on back into our recipe. So we're just going to pull our screen down and hit that next button, and then form into a ball and place into prepared bowl or in your Thermomix mat and set aside in a warm place to prove or to double inside, which is approximately an hour. Now, when it comes to dough, it's really, really important that you go by sight, not by time. So your recipe might ask you for an hour, but you might find after an hour it has not doubled in size. Just trying to pull up my run sheet as I'm doing this. If it has not doubled in size, it does need longer. It's a really nice night here tonight in Melbourne, so that is going to prove quite quickly. But you might find on a really cold night, if you live in a house like mine that can be quite cold, it might take quite a bit longer. So always going off eye, not by time. Set your timer for an hour, check it. If it needs longer, leave it and come back once it's doubled in size. Don't rush your dough because that's when you're going to get really heavy, dense doughs. So I am going to move on to our next step, which is placing 500 grams of water. Now, we are not washing our bowl, which is one of my favorite things. I'm just going in with 500 grams. And of course, I'm a little bit short. $500 grams of water. Hitting that next button. And then we're going to pop our lid back on as our digital twin is asking. Meanwhile, follow the next steps. So we've gone into our kettle mode there and we are preheating that water. Then we're going to prepare 36 squares of baking paper, approximately 10 centimetres in size, 10 by 10, which I forgot to do, so please excuse me. I was running around earlier getting this done, and there's always something that I forget, which is fine. So about 10 by 10, not 10 by 10, but close enough. So grabbing out our baking paper. So this is going to go in between our bowl to ensure that they're not sticking together while we are doing our cooking, or our steaming, sorry. So while that is warming up, here is some dough I prepared earlier. So you can see, we're about to spill out of the thermomat, but so you can see how kind of flat that is and then how much that one has doubled in size. I know it can be a little bit tricky to see kind of through the thermomats there, but you can see the growth that we've had there, and that has definitely doubled in size. So I'm really happy with that. So that is where I would be like, yep, okay, I'm ready to go. If I came back and looked at that and thought, no, that needs a little bit longer, I'm going to set that time up for a little bit more. As I said, our bao dough is a little bit sticky, which is totally normal. So on a silicone bread mat or floured work surface, we're going to knock down our dough. Now, when we're using a Thermomix mat, we always want to make sure we're using our spatula or one of the plastic dough scrapers. Never use a knife for cutting. So your spatula is perfect to help you out. So we are just going to knock it down, which is just removing a little bit of that air from it, not too much. And then we're going to shape dough into a log and cut into 18 equal pieces, approximately 30 grams each. Now, as I said, we are just a little bit sticky. I'm just going to pop just a tiny bit of flour kind of on my hands to help me with this. So into a log and cut into 18 pieces. Now, this is going to test my math brain. It doesn't tell me how long my log should be. It normally would, but we're going to give it a little 1, 2, 3, 6, 7. We're going to need to be quite a bit longer than that. Now, when it says 30 grams, if you are somebody that likes things to be quite perfect, you can absolutely turn your scales on and weigh them as you are going. If you're more like me, I feel like that's something Tracey would do, whereas I'm more of like a wing it kind of person. So I might just guess, which means mine are not going to be even and they're all going to be a little bit different, but we're going for homemade, right? All right, I'm getting closer. Really, normally it would give me a length to measure it to do it to, but that's okay. All right. So you want to make sure your log is like quite even, so you're getting a similar kind of size. And we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nailed it, or probably not nailed it, but close to. So then we're just using our spatula to go through and cut our pieces of dough. Like so. As I said, your spatula is your perfect tool for getting your dough prepped. And then cutting. So the rest I'm going to do off screen. So we've got our 18 pieces. And then just really gently, we're going to give it a little bit of a roll. Now, it's really important with doughs that you don't overwork them. When you overwork your dough, that is when you lose that elasticity and it's going to be quite heavy and dense, which we don't want. Now, our Thermomix mat has measurements on it. So it wants around, it says flatten or roll each piece into a disc approximately 9 centimetres. So we have an 8 centimetre marker here. So we're just going to go slightly more than that. So with my rolling pin, just going out. I don't think I asked, has anybody made bao before? I know I asked if you're eating it. Has anyone actually made it? And again, mine are never going to be perfectly round and I'm okay with that. I'm going for that beautiful rustic homemade. And there we have our first bao. Now, our aroma on our TM7 is 45% bigger, which takes us to about 6 litres, which is huge. Just having a little bit of. And now we are going to steam these ones in our varoma, which we're going to do shortly. So just, again, a little bit of flour. And then I'm just going to get some of my baking paper that I prepared earlier. I'm just going to pop that into the middle as I fold that over. So I've just got what will be my beautiful bao bun in a disc, folded over with my baking paper in the middle. Then we're going to pop them into our varoma, so a little bit like this. Now, this new larger varoma is perfect for feeding a crowd. And I'm going to do another one so you can see live. You don't want too much flour. And into a little ball. Give it a push. And then now it's sticking to my rolling pin.
You're really not having much luck tonight, are you, Chelsea? Words,
Not my
can't
night.
speak,
That's all right.
can't roll.
It's Monday. Nothing's meant to work on a Monday. I think it's just this one. My first one was good. All right. So there we've got our second bao. I should have just quit with the first one because the first one was much better. Tracey will be dying. Tracey makes a really good round. Like the wraps are always perfect, tortillas, and mine are never. And
I am dying, but I
dying
wasn't going to
inside.
comment.
But again, we're going for homemade, right? It's not meant to be perfect. So there we go. And we're going to line them up into our varoma, and then we're just going to cover with a tea towel so they don't dry as we continue that process. Now, I am going to pop these onto steam. So we're going to brush the surface of each disc lightly with oil. And then we can place into our varoma, which we've done. And then we're going to steam for 6 minutes or until cooked through. Can add an extra 2 minutes if necessary. So I'm going to finish doing that off screen and we're going to jump over to Tracey and she is going to get started and I'll see you guys in a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks, Chelsea. All right. So like Chelsea said, we are very different. But I want to know if you're team Chelsea or team Tracey. So when it comes to meal planning, are you a meal planner? Do you have your whole week set out, sorted, ready to go? Or are you like me and you're about to pick the kids up from school and you're searching through Cookie-Doo and then adding it to your shopping list, and just rolling with it that way? So today I am actually doing a recipe I haven't done before, because it's going to give you insight into our high heat mode and things like that. So I have actually just gone into the kettle mode. Okay, so I've gone into our modes here and then selected kettle. So instead of waiting, so while you're watching Chelsea, so you don't have to sit here and wait and watch water boil, I have done that. So I've set it to 100 degrees. Okay, and it is ready to go. It's telling us, yep, perfect. It's at 100 degrees. Okay, so you can easily go into those sort of recipes. If it's saying that to put boiling water in, you can just use your kettle mode and then continue on to the recipe. Okay, so I'm going to go back into our home screen. Our home screens could also look different. Chelsea's, although yours might be on the same screen as mine, Chelsea, I've changed mine. You can have it set for if you want daily inspiration on your home screen. So it just comes up with different Cookie-Doo recipes each day, so that every time you turn it on, there's something different that will come up and inspire you with recipes that you may not have seen otherwise. Otherwise, you have this one, which is the organization screen, although we did just talk about me not being organized, but it'll tell you what you've got coming up in your week. It also has your pre-clean straight there, your manual mode, and your, what is that, tutorials. Okay, otherwise the other screen is just I'm just going to let this person in. The other screen is all of your modes and things like that. Okay, so I am just going to click on this one, which is our recipe that we are cooking tonight. So it is the udon with chicken and mushrooms. Okay, so like I mentioned, so I'm going to scroll down because I'm just going to skip the first step. So instead of going in and, skipping per se, I'm just going to go into step 2. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to say, do you want to start here? Yes. So if there's a few steps you want to sorry, I'm now being Chelsea, that you want to skip, you can easily just start from there. Okay, so I've got my water boiled there. And we're just going to add the noodles in. Okay, and the mushrooms. Okay. I'm going to push next. So now it's actually started to cook. Okay, so Chelsea did mention briefly before about our new open lid cooking. So essentially, if you're someone who loves to be at the stove, we have had people before, they're like, oh, but I like to be at the stove, see what's happening, taste my pasta, add things to it. This mode now gives you that option. Okay, so I can just stand here, check it. Great for reducing sauces and things like that as well, and cooking your pasta. So it's just saying gently press the noodles down with your, well, you're not going to do it with your hands. It does say with your hands, but it is boiling water currently, so because I've preheated that. Or with your spatula until it's all immersed in there. Okay. So I'm just going to leave that for a little bit. Now, I haven't used dry noodles because, like we said, we are in bunyip. So I have just used the packet one, so it's not going to take as long as what's required. So I will pause that off soon, but let's have a look at what our next step is. Because I think it's just cooking anyway, so I can essentially just do that at the same time. Let me move this around because it's sideways. So cook time as indicated on the packet. So you're just going to set your time that you want. So I'd only do a couple of minutes because, like I said, the noodles aren't the dried noodles, so I don't need to bring them back rehydrated. Okay. And then we're going to drain that. Now, if you're someone who's trying to reduce the amount of things in your kitchen, perhaps you have a really small kitchen, I'm actually just going to use my Varoma. So when I need to drain this, I'm just going to use my Varoma, and that's going to act as my drainer or my strainer. Okay, so that you can then get rid of those accessories if you don't have enough room to store it. All right, let's have a bit of a look. So those of you who have the TM7, I know there was a few people commenting in there. Have you done open lid cooking? I also just realized I jumped on and didn't introduce myself. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Tracey Seba. I am also down in Bunyip in Victoria. We actually just live not that far away from each other, which is great because I might jump up there later and try some of her bao buns. I have been a team leader and consultant for going on 7 years now. Like Chelsea, I also jumped on just to earn myself a machine and was leaving after the 60 days, but here we are. It's so much fun cooking and just getting to meet people and helping people. And in the meantime, earning lots of rewards. We are actually off to Rome in 2 weeks, Chelsea and I. We've just been to the Gold Coast, and then in August, we'll be heading to Singapore. So if you're someone who'd love a free trip and lots of different incentives, let us know because we can give you all of that information as well. All right, so we can just use our spatula. So that looks pretty good. So I can just test that, see what our noodles are like. Perfect. So I'm actually going to stop that. So I'm going to go back to where we're at. Okay, just going, pause that. So with the new bowl, you can actually lift it up no matter where you're standing. 2 hands perfectly to get it off, which is amazing because if I had the 6 right now, I'd have to walk around to be able to get it off. So I am just going to click on there. I'm going to strain that. Okay, and then set aside. Perfect. Sorry, give me 1 second while I chuck this over here. I didn't get my lid of my broom. I'll just quickly get that so I can show you when you're taking your aroma off. You just want to flip it and put the lid underneath. Okay, that's going to catch all the drips. All right, so I'm going to put that to the side and then get my bowl. I was just checking that it didn't say keep the liquid. Let me read that in, but I don't have to. I'm going to pop this back on. And I'm going to add in the garlic and the ginger and the onion, or the echalot, but I've just got an onion. Okay, so I'm going to tick that off. You don't have to tick it off. You can just leave it there if you like. When you have things like grams, so with the sesame oil, for example, you will notice when I start pouring over here on our digital twin and our scales, that is going to automatically tick that off. I don't know if you can see the green line there. Okay, and then I'll just click on to next and push play. So it's just going to chop that up for us, 4 seconds on speed 5. So those of you who don't have a Thermomix, this is what it looks like in 4 seconds. So it's chopped up that onion, garlic, and ginger beautifully. Okay, just going to scrape the sides of our mixing bowl and push next again. So it's just going to take you step by step through the recipe. So we like to say it's a little bit like a GPS. Okay, it takes you from the start to the finish line. Now I'm going to push play. And it is just going to saute that for us. Now, if you wanted to do a more intense saute, you can actually go out of the screen, which I will show you when I cook the chicken, and go into our modes and then use the browning. So if you have a TM6, you can only use the high heat or the browning mode in a cookie recipe. With the TM7, we now have the ability to do that manually. So think of, just quickly stir frying your onion or some veggies or your meat. You can quite easily do that now. Okay. So we'll go back in here. Now, Team Chelsea. It is so quiet, Carly. Sometimes I'm cooking and I think, is it even going? No, oh, there we go. Team Tracey. Thank goodness there's at least one person. If you could hear the sizzle now, it's actually, yes, Zoe, I can see you there. Can actually hear the sizzle. It's already heated up to 95 degrees there in that split second. So this acts like it replicates you on the fry pan, okay? It'll stir it, stop for a little bit, stir it again. You can smell all of those beautiful garlic and onion and ginger flavors coming through now as well, which is amazing. So if you think of that, you'll be able to feel like you're here, okay? Now, Chelsea, I can't remember what our run sheet said, if I'm just going to keep talking for 5 minutes here or if we have something else to go to, or you want to talk about trade up.
I'm talking to you and I'm on mute. We are going to cut back to me for a little bit.
Awesome. Okay, so, let's do that.
Thank you, Tracey. We'll see you again soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I have just popped. I am lucky enough to have 2 TM7s. Perks of being a consultant. We did get an opportunity to earn a second one. So I have just got my buns steaming away. Now we put 9 into the Varoma and they're going to steam for 6 minutes, or as I said, until cooked through. Now, if you don't have a second TM7, which is totally fine, you're going to steam your buns and pop them in your thermoserver to keep warm or under a tea towel or something. Now, if you do have a second bowl, we are going to switch over bowls, which means we don't have to clean in between, which is one of my favorite things about having a second bowl. Now, I'm going to head back to my screen and back into my recipes. Now, this is a recipe that I made after doing a lot of Googling. So what I was trying to say before was banh mi was the other thing that I love to make, the Vietnamese baguettes to make banh me. Now, this chicken recipe is a recipe that I developed for Thermomix, based off kind of what I like to eat when I go to Rolled or somewhere like that, where you go and pay, $25 for a banh mi, or so I think it's like $6 to $8 for one bao, which is crazy. So an amazing way to save money is by making things like this, or you fake away in your Thermomix. So don't spend $50, $60, $70 on takeaway for the family when you can make it for a fraction of the cost in your Thermomix. So I will email this recipe out to everybody after the class tonight. So this is one that I've added to my own cookie dough. So if you have a TM6 or a TM7, you can add your own recipes and see them on your screen, which is something that I love, as I make quite a lot of my own recipes. When you scroll down, it does look quite similar to your standard recipe. It will come up slightly different on the screen, and on the TM6, it is a little bit more pared down. So first up, we're going to add in some garlic cloves. Now, it's funny because I made this recipe, but I only put 2 garlic cloves, so we need more than that. So we're going to go in with 3. 2 spring onions chopped into pieces, so just really roughly cut into pieces like so. And then 1 lemon zest or some lemon, 1 lemongrass stalk or some lemon zest. If you want to keep the cost down, just use lemon zest off a lemon skin, but I am using some lemongrass because I did have some. Then we're going to pop our lid on, and we've got 3 seconds on speed 7.
Chelsea, sorry, we just had a comment about it doesn't have a measuring cup. So can you just talk about the cap?
Yeah, thank you. Great question. So one of the biggest differences that you may notice is that there's no hole in the mixing bowl lid. Now, there is still a hole. So I just made mayonnaise before, so you can see my finger popping through to give you a bit of an idea. I made mayonnaise before, and I was quite nervous about making mayonnaise in the TM7. I wasn't sure that it would work the same without that hole, but it actually still works perfectly. So the lid has been designed to have its own splash guard. So if you have a TM6, you would know that you need to put the splash guard on top, or a lot of the time you need to put the simmering basket on top. Now, you no longer need to do that with the TM7. There's no simmering basket to sit on top. You do still have a simmering basket to go inside, but it doesn't sit on top anymore, and you don't need the splash guard due to this. The other thing I was really worried about making with this new design lid was a sponge cake. I was like, how am I going to drop my sugar through the hole when there is no hole? But it actually works really, really well still. So I found there was a little bit of mess around the rim after I'd been pouring, but at the end I literally just went like this, and it all just went through the little tiny holes on the outer part of that mixing bowl hole, so mixing lid. So it does actually work really, really well still, just a little bit different to what we're used to. I do miss watching my dough go around, but it was a bit of a time waster that I really didn't need to be watching. I just enjoyed it. So in 3 seconds, we have chopped up that lemongrass. Think about how hard lemongrass is and how quickly that still manages to chop that up. The garlic and that as well. So we're just going to scrape down our sides. And we're going to add 20 grams of soy sauce. If you are gluten-free, you can use tamari. 20 grams of soy. Going 20 grams of fish sauce. Fish sauce is a bit of an acquired taste, so 20 grams is all right. I don't love fish, but I can do with 20. I do find myself reducing it in some recipes. 25 grams of honey because we're going for like a sticky chicken. Just love the scales. Like I always think I'm a really messy cook, so I love like the mess that it saves me by being able to just weigh it all. 15 grams of sesame oil. Now, you will find with the creative recipes that it doesn't tick it off for you as you go. You do just need to manually tick it, which is fine. And then 15 grams of oyster, which I'm almost out of. So let's cross our fingers that I have enough. Ah, perfect. Meant to be. Add that one to the shopping list. And then we're going to pop our lid back on. It's digital twin is asking. Now, your lid cap is a little bit different to your measuring cup. It doesn't really matter if it's there or not. The only time I really make sure I put it on is when I'm doing the pre-clean, because I find I can get a little bit splashed with water otherwise. But it doesn't actually have to be there like the measuring cup does because of that splash guard built in. All right, so add 600 grams of chicken thigh cut into 3-centimeter pieces, which here's some I prepared earlier. So I've got my chicken thigh chopped up, ready to go. There is our marinade or our sauce. Sorry, just switch my light out. So we're going to add in our chicken. So I've just really roughly cut my thigh into pieces. And I've got about 680 grams, which is all good. And then we're just going to go 30 seconds, speed 1, reverse. So this is just going to combine that or coat that chicken for me in that beautiful sauce that we have just made. So we are going to let that do its thing. Just reading those comments as they come through. If you have any questions at all, please keep them coming. So this is where we would be manually stirring and coating all of that chicken if we were doing that. So I love that you can just do that in your Thermomix using the reverse blade. The back side of the Thermomix blades are blunt and they are perfect for stirring. So when we're going in forwards, the blade is quite sharp. So even in a slow speed, it can cut everything up. So using that reverse mode is just going to do that stirring. So that has perfectly combined over my chicken. So we are going to take all of that chicken out now and we're going to pop it into a bowl. Now, if you have time, you're going to let that marinate for about half an hour. If you're anything like me, you're probably not going to have time to do that, which is fine. I promise you, it still tastes good if you don't. Obviously, those flavors are going to get an opportunity to build if you do let it marinate. Tonight, I'm obviously not going to do that. Now, as I said, this is a created recipe. So when you create a recipe on Cookie Do, you can't access all of the modes. At the moment, we only have a handful of the modes available in the created recipes, which just means sometimes we need to exit out to pick our mode. So this wants us to return 300 grams of the marinated chicken to the bowl and add a drizzle of sesame oil and saute. TM7 users, you can access browning mode from the mode screen. I'm reading upside down here. From the mode screen, set 10 minutes intense. TM6 users, open Cookie Do, search for chicken pieces and start recipe. So with the TM6, the high heat or browning mode does need to be accessed through Cookie Do, whereas with the TM7, we can do it manually. So add 300 grams of the chicken and saute. Once done, place in thermoserver to keep warm and repeat with another 300 grams. So I'm going to head back into my modes, and on our TM7 screen, we have our browning mode. Now our scales are here, so we're just going to open up those scales and I'm going to weigh in. I need to do about 350 grams because I had a little bit extra. 330 will be perfect. 330 grams. And we're going to cook that for 10 minutes on our intense mode, as Tracey said. So gentle is more for our veggies, intense is for our meat. So we got 10 minutes, 160 degrees on intense. So I really love that you can access the browning or the high heat mode manually in the TM7. I do a lot of high heat. It might just be sauteed capsicums, caramelized onions for pizzas, salad, things like that, meat, mince, chicken strips, anything like that. And I really love that you can do that. With the TM6, it is the same mode. It's just in Cookie Do only. So you do need to search high heat and pick the recipe that you want to do, whether it be minced chicken pieces, capsicums, things like that. So I just love that you can add it in. As Tracey did, flicking out of a recipe and adding the browning in when it doesn't use it is a really great way to do it as well, to add that extra flavor. Everything tastes better when it's been done in the browning mode because it's more like the fry pan. Getting that hotter heat, that sizzle. Put my microphone on. Can you hear that sizzle?
I heard a tiny bit at the start.
It's hard to hear through Zoom, but it happens really, really quickly. You can see that steam coming out and it does that sauteing. So picturing yourself standing there at the stove, when you have a Thermomix, you're using these modes, you can be off doing whatever it is that you want for 10 minutes instead of standing there and stirring. There's also no mess flicking out all over your cooktop, which is another thing that I love. So stand there and stir or pop it in your Thermomix, walk away, come back 10 minutes later, and it is done. Once that timer goes off, the heating element stops, so it's not going to burn, so you don't have to worry. Especially if you're like Tracey and I and you've got kids, you're always really busy doing a billion things. This is such a great feature to have. So while that one cooks, that's going to go for that 8 minutes. And then we're going to jump back to Tracey and I'll see you in a little bit.
Thank you. Okay, so that has finished there. It's all nice and sauteed, so you'll be able to see a little bit of the brown in there on the base. Now, Chelsea did say about the high heat in the TM6. With the TM5s and the 31, you won't actually get that caramelization like you do on these other machines, and that's because the TM5 and the 31 only go up to 120 degrees, okay, whereas the 6 and the 7 goes to 160, okay. So I am now adding in the chicken, so 600 grams. I haven't measured it because I just had 2 chicken breasts, so whatever it is fine. So that's 500 grams. Now, I actually thought I'm going to adjust this recipe because that's what we like to do. I'm also just going to add some extra veggies in there, and I'm going to saute them with the chicken, okay? We'll see how it goes. I'll pop my lid on, and like I mentioned before, this recipe isn't using that high heat mode, so I'm going to go out of it, and I'm just going to go into our browning and go to the intense. Okay, and that is going to go for 9 minutes there. So what are we going to talk about? Does anyone have any questions so far? I think we had a couple of people that do have the TM5 and the 31. So currently, I think Chelsea mentioned briefly earlier, we do have our trade up option, which ends tomorrow. So if that's something that you are wanting to take advantage of, or you want some more information about it, pop it in the chat box. We can definitely help you out. So with your TM31, to trade that in, you will receive $250 off the price of your TM7. If you have a TM5, that's $450 off. And if you have the TM6, you'll get $750 off the price of your TM7. So the TM7 is 2649. Okay, so then remove your whichever model you have. And then you can also add on a second bowl as well. Second bowl comes in so handy. Currently, I only have one with me at the moment. My other one is off being used elsewhere. So I'm waiting for our other bowls that we earned to arrive so that I have multiple. With my TM6, I think at one stage I had about, I don't know, 6 bowls or something with a couple of machines. And it's just really handy. Like if you're like me and you're just like, I don't want to have to wash a bowl, just chuck that one in the sink, grab another one. My partner actually hated it because he'd be like, can't you just wash it? Nah, just got to keep on cooking. So they are handy. Let me know in the chat box if you do have multiple bowls. So until tomorrow as well, you can add a TM7 bowl to your order for $199. They actually aren't available in the mix shop yet and probably won't be till around July. So this is the best way to get one. It is a delayed shipping though, but it's $199 instead of $429. I'm just going to let this person in. Okay, and so worthwhile. If you think you're not going to use one, think again. Just add it to the cart anyway, because I guarantee later on you'll be like, oh my God, I should have got that second bowl. Now, with the TM7 as well, if I wanted to just check during my cooking, instead of pausing, waiting for my arms to unlock, I can actually just take that lid off now and I can have a look in there, see what's happening. If you were cooking, say, pasta or something like that, you could have a bit of a taste test and add some other things to it. Okay, pop your lid back on and it will, I'm backwards, so it's a bit more difficult, and it will just start cooking for you again. Okay, so nice and easy, so quick to have a look and see what's happening in there. Now, what are the current host rewards? So current host rewards, they change over on the 1st of April as well, but tonight and tomorrow. So if you had guests on with you tonight, you can actually score yourself a free thermoserver. So this is our new thermoserver. Okay. I actually love it way more than the other one because it actually has a bit of a suction to it. It also has, they're in the cupboard, but also has a little silicone wrap, I guess, to hold it in place. So if you're traveling with that in your car, the lid is not going to fall off. And trust me, I have done it before. I think it was probably even on the way to Chelsea's house, taking something in the thermo server and the lid fell off. So these ones are a lot more sturdy and the lid will stay in place. So you can grab one of those regardless of if a guest purchases or not, you will receive that. That's only until tomorrow. Okay. After that, we do have the second bowl coming. So those of you who are already TM7 owners, if you do want to get yourself a second bowl, reach out to your consultant. If you don't have one, you can message one of us and we'll help you with that. If you have 3 guests join you on your demo, okay, you can actually get yourself a TM7 bowl for $329, so $100 off. And then if a guest purchases, it would be $229. Okay, so nice and easy, just jump on something like this. If we're not local to you, we do run other cooking classes as well. So if you just have some guests jump onto that, that is one way to do it as well. Yes, Megan. So I'll contact you after the class, okay, and I will chat to you about that. I'm tempted to trade in. Yeah, do you have any other questions there, Rochelle? Number 6 in there, yeah. Perfect. All right, so we've got 7 minutes there. Chelsea, have you?
Yep, we can head back over here if you like.
Perfect. Can you also, there was just in the comments earlier, someone talking about the egg boiler mode, because I can't show that at the moment because I'm cooking. Can you just show what it looks like on the, have you got your other machine there?
No, I don't, but this is nearly done. It's only got a minute to go.
Because they have a 31 and a 5, so just showing that amazing egg boiler mode.
Absolutely. We can have a look at all of the modes quickly. So when we go into our TM7 modes, we do have some of those normal modes that you are used to, like our manual mode, our dough mode, our turbo, all the things that you have in all of your Thermomixes. Obviously, we can steam in all of our Thermomixes, but our TM7 has a dedicated steaming mode. I really love it because you can choose whether you're using your Varoma, your simmering basket, or both, and then it will set its speed and temperature accordingly. So all you need to do is set the time. So just making it a little bit easier for you. We've got the pre-clean and the egg boiler, which you can have, which you do have in the TM6, but not the older models. We've got the blend, our open cooking, which Tracey's used, our kettle, our warm-up, our rice cooker, thicken mode, slow cook, fermentation, sous vide. Then we have peeler, grater, slicer, spiralizer, and Thermomix sensor, which are our accessories. Then when you keep on scrolling your finger down the screen, you do access our chop tool. Now, our chop tool is your best friend as a new Thermomix owner or someone who's not overly confident because it gives you everything that you need to know basic-wise for chopping and steaming. So say I want to make some breadcrumbs. I made breadcrumbs tonight. I'm a very confident Thermomix user, so I know how to do that. But for somebody that isn't, you head on into your chop tool, select bread. We're going with crumbs. We're going fresh bread or stale. I used fresh. How much have you got? 100 to 120 grams. Perfect. And then you hit the play button and it sets your time and speed for you. So you're on 5 seconds, speed 6, hit play, and away you go. And that's your breadcrumbs done. So your chop tool is a brilliant thing for anybody that is new or not that confident and you want to learn about those basics. We've got mincing meat, chopping fruit, veggies, steaming veggies, grating cheese, milling chocolate, coffee beans, herbs, spices, crushing ice, like everything you can think of is in that chop tool. Now, when we head on into our egg boiler, the egg boiler is really beautiful on the TM7. You have these really great images. So we've got soft, medium, medium hard, or hard. So exactly how you like your eggs boiled perfectly. So you can put up to 6 eggs in with a liter of water from the tap. And then you just select your preferred cook and done. You can hit the show tips button when you're first getting to know it and it walks you through. So your eggs in, no simmering basket, straight on the blades. Blades don't spin. Water, select mode, rinse, and done. Same with your pre-clean. You've got these beautiful images. So quick, universal, dough, browning, fat, and caramel, depending on what you've done, is going to depend on what clean mode you need. And then keep on scrolling through and have a play around with those different modes that you have in there as well. I did mention the manual mode before that I couldn't show you. So if you only need 2 eggs, you just put 2. It's up to 6. So you can do 2 to 6, and they're all going to cook perfectly. So time, as I said, you've got some presets here, but you can just kind of scroll your finger. So say I want, 5 minutes and 30 seconds. But I can just also flick it if I want, up and down. Set my temperature, same thing, flick it or set your presets, and then your speed as well. You've got your reverse button there. Set your speed and hit that play button, and away you go. And that is your manual mode as you are used to. So chicken, I wish you could smell that. That smells absolutely amazing. Very much looks like what you would get from your Asian takeaway, your Vietnamese and your bao buns, your banh mi, things like that. And that is cooked perfectly. As Tracey said, the smell that comes out of that high heat mode is just delicious. Now, it is quite normal to see a bit of blackening on the bottom of your bowl when you are using that high heat mode. That is nothing to panic about. It is really normal. We are using a stainless steel bowl, not Teflon. So when we're dealing with stainless steel in that high heat, it will happen sometimes. Very easy to get rid of. Use your self-clean for browning, or a little bit of vinegar and bicarb. A soft scourer will work really, really well. If it does get quite bad, which can happen on the odd occasion, a little bit of like gumptions paste or something like that will get rid of it. So it is not to worry. It is normal, and it's actually what gives us even more flavor in our meals, just like you would get in your fry pan. So we're just going to take that one out, pop that into our thermoserver to keep warm. And then we are going to do exactly the same thing with that other 300 grams, which I'm going to do in a moment, but we're going to wrap up. So I am going to plate up some of my bao for you and show you. I do have that new thermoserver Tracey was talking about, and I do also love mine. I was like, why would I need a new thermoserver? Mine are brilliant. Once I got the new thermoserver, I'm like, this thing's so much better. It's amazing. Even just the insulated lid means that it keeps your food at the temperature it goes in at for even longer. So I've done a quick pickled veg here. So if you want to do a really quick pickled veg, you want to do half a cup of vinegar, just your white vinegar, a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of sugar in your bowl, and then your carrots, your cucumber, things like that. Throw them in, some onion, and that is going to pickle away. Leave that in there. Do it at the start as you're cooking, and that'll be ready to go. Yes, Kristen, the lid actually stays on, which is great. Rachel's asked, did I read somewhere the base of the scales can be used without needing the bowl attached in the TM7? So that is a wonderful question. So in our TM7, we can take the bowl off, and we have this great kind of plate. There is no sides. There are no sides on the TM7, which possibilities are endless. We can now access our scales and weigh directly on here. So head on into your manual mode, scales. And I can weigh anywhere on the Thermomix. I can chuck this on, I can weigh like that. I can get out a plate. I can pop a plate on, tear the plate, and then I can weigh onto my plate directly as well, which is really, really handy. So that is something a feature that I use a lot. I make sourdough. So when I'm feeding my starter, I'm just popping my jar on here, and I'm really liking that feature. So great question. Thank you, Rachel. All right. So I'm going to grab some bao. So we did these ones in 2 batches. It says to do about 9 at a time. Now, I found the first ones that I did, I think I'd rolled them just a little bit too thin, so they hadn't quite gone as puffy as I would like them to. So with my second batch that I rolled, I just rolled them a little bit. I made slightly less, so I did 6 instead of 9, so I did 12 instead of 18, and I found that is a slightly better size for me. It's also my rolling skills. As we all know, I'm a home cook. I am not a chef in any way. And my food is very home cook looking, not chef looking. So if I had have done a slightly better job with my rolling and my shape, it might have been a little bit better. But as I said, we're going for rustic and homemade, which is perfect. All right, so I've got my bao here that have steamed away nicely. Look at that, nice and fluffy. Take out your baking paper. And then I am going to plate these up with some of my quick pickled veg. My quick pickled veg, I can pick it up. You've got all carrot in that one. Quick pickled veg. I'm going to throw in a bit of that chicken. It's beautifully cooked. I just can't believe that you pay like $6 to $8 for one of these in a takeaway. It is wild, but that is the world that we live in. So being able to do stuff like this in your Thermomix is going to save you thousands of dollars a year. If you switch from buying takeaway once a week and making it, you're going to save yourself $50+, which is going to add up to that $2,000-3,000 very, very quickly. So a huge money saver. I did make some fresh mayonnaise earlier. If you haven't made mayonnaise, pop it on the list. It's absolutely heaven, absolute heaven. And it is way easier than you would think. I find a lot of people don't make it because they find it a little bit daunting, which I understand. But honestly, it takes 90 seconds to make whole egg mayonnaise. It is cheaper than buying a good mayonnaise from the supermarket, and it tastes so much better than a bad mayonnaise from the supermarket. A lot of them are made without egg, just lots of fillers and stuff. Making your own, once you've made it, you'll never go back to store-bought. So pop in the comments if you have a Thermomix and let me know. Have you made mayonnaise before? Has it been on your list? If you haven't, you can, and you're a bit scared, you can head to my social media, Mixing It Real, and you can have a little browse through. You will find a couple of videos of me making mayonnaise in the past. It is great. So here we have a very poorly assembled.
How long does your mayo last, Chelsea? Did you say that?
That is a great question. We go through it quite quickly. I don't know the technical answer for that because it does have egg in it, but I would say a couple of weeks in the fridge. I haven't had any problems, but we would have to check that for you. So here we have our barbecue chicken or sticky chicken bao buns. So we've got our fresh bao, quick pickled veg, and that beautiful chicken done in that browning mode, and then our fresh mayonnaise. So pop in the chat and let us know, does that look good? Are you going to make these recipes? As I said, I will email you that chicken recipe afterwards. And is this something that you can see yourself doing? There we have it.
Awesome.
Thank you. Any questions, pop them in the chat.
Now I have, while we're going, I just added in the sauces. So it was soy sauce, oyster sauce, and some white pepper. And I've just cooked that briefly while we were doing that. And now I'm just going to add back in our bok choy and then combine with a spatula, and then we're going to do some more open lid cooking. Okay, so just going to stir that around just a little bit because with the open cooking, the blades don't stir. So just every now and then, just going to give it a quick little stir there. Now we have gone over time because we do love a chat. If you need to go, please reach out to us and we'll reach out to you as well. Thought I would just pop on because I know a couple of people said, oh, the lid stays on. So this is what it looks like. Okay, so the lid is not going anywhere. Nothing's coming out of that. And then you just take that off and you've got your lid to take off there. Also, someone asked if the TM6 accessories fit. They do. Obviously not the bowl, but your Varoma, your butterfly whisk, things like that. But you do get brand new ones with your TM7. So with your TM7, you will get your bowl, the new spatula that Chelsea mentioned, the new look Varoma that we also showed you, a new butterfly whisk. Am I missing something there, guys? I think that is pretty much all. And my noodles, I forgot to put them in. Pop your noodles in. Okay, I'm just going to give that a stir around. So it's only a couple of minutes just to sort of combine everything there without open lid cooking. It smells actually amazing. Okay. And if you went out of a recipe and want to go back into it, you just click up here into our cooking center and you'll find the recipe that you are cooking. And then I'm going to tip that in there to serve in a couple of seconds. Let's see the comments. Yes, can I please get us and the simmering basket, of course. Thanks, Em. All right. 38 seconds. Any other questions? How long does the food stay warm for? So they usually say up to around 3 hours. Also depends on what you put in there. I find rice stays hot for so long in the thermoserver. I haven't actually timed it, but normally I leave it for a little bit, and I find this one does stay a lot hotter than the other one. Charles, have you left it for?
Like I find, as you said, it depends what you've got in there. Obviously, if it's quite full, it's going to last even stay hotter longer. If there's only a little bit in there, it's going to go cooler quicker. But I find I like to make dinner before we head to after school sports. So I might cook dinner at like 2:30, 3 o'clock. And when we get home for dinner at 6 o'clock, it is absolutely still warm. So again, it does depend on what you've got in there. But if it is nice and full, it will definitely stay hot for that 3 to 4 hours quite easily.
Perfect. Now I'm just going to move this out of the way so you can see as it comes in. So this will be dinner done for tomorrow night. Now look at me go, meal prepped, ready for tomorrow. All right. Now I would normally serve it up looking a little bit better. If you jump onto my socials, you'll probably see it served up nicer than that tomorrow in a bowl. So my socials is Thermomatrix Tracey7 on Instagram, and just search Tracey7 on Facebook consultant. So there we have it. Absolutely delicious. I'll give it a try for you. Nothing better than looking someone eat while you're sitting there potentially hungry, but it's pretty good. And I think adding those, so remember I added carrot and capsicum to that, even though the recipe didn't say it, just so you can bulk it up more as well, which is perfect. And that's why I love the Thermomix, just adding things to help your family and also to use up things that you've got in the fridge. So if you've got, carrots that are looking a bit worse for wear, or, only got a day or so left, chuck them in. Don't waste it. Put them in or pop it in the freezer ready for your stock paste.
Perfect. Well, that looks brilliant, Tracey, and that made an absolute truckload as well, which will feed your family, which is great. My bao buns, I now have to try not to eat all of these because I have already had dinner, so I am going to resist. So my family can eat them tomorrow night. I just realised my camera's a bit low. There we go. So Tracey and I would like to say a huge thank you to everybody for coming along tonight. As I said, I will send out an email after this with the recording and also the link to that chicken recipe and the other recipes that we have done tonight. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to your consultant, the person that invited you along, or to Tracey and I. As we said, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Mixing It Real, and Tracey is Tracey7 Thermomatrix. So please give us a follow, shoot out any questions that you might have, and remember to check your emails tomorrow. It will probably end up in your junk, so please make sure you check your junk. If you have been considering trading up, I'm just going to remove Trace for a minute because she disappeared. No, you're fine. If you have been considering trading up or purchasing a TM7 with a second bowl, please remember that those deals do end at midnight tomorrow. So we would hate for you to miss out. So please reach out so we could help you sort that out. If you have any questions at all, please let us know. If you are interested in joining the team, maybe you watched this tonight and thought, I could do that. It's probably because you could do this. And we would love to show you the ropes. So please reach out. You can earn yourself a Thermomix, or you can purchase and come on as an owner. Or if you already have a TM7, you can come on as an owner and start earning commission straight away. So come and join us. Otherwise, continue following us on our journey. We would love to see you at our next cooking class in the coming weeks. If you have any suggestions of what you would like to see, please let us know, because we love to tailor these to really suit you guys. So a huge thank you again for coming along tonight. We really appreciate you spending your Monday night with us. And a big thank you to Tracey for cooking with me. I did throw her under the bus a couple of days ago. I was like, we haven't done this together in ages. Let's do it. So big thanks to Trace for cooking with me tonight. We don't get paid to run these classes. We just love to put them on to help you in your Thermomix journey, to make sure that you know all the tips, tricks, and bits and pieces. So a big thank you, Tracey, for helping me out. And again, thank you everyone for joining us. Trace, anything you want to add?
No, just thank you. Thanks for having me tonight. I do miss cooking together, so I think we should do it more often
I agree.
again.
Yeah.
And here's it all plated up, so it looks much more delicious now. I'm going to go off and have some of that. And I'll come round to your house tomorrow for some bao buns for lunch. Oh, you're at work. That's okay. I'll just break in and get some.
I'll leave them out for you. Perks of living close to each other. All right. Well, thank you so much,
Thanks
everybody,
so
for
much, guys.
joining, and we'll see you all soon.
Bye.